Good night to you viewers all over, wherever you're watching us from live now. We wish you a happy day and a very welcoming in conversation on our panel today. Today, we are going to focus, like we said yesterday, on Situation Room Uganda. But of course, we are going to do a kind of a retrospective on the elections that have been occurring on the continent of Africa and kind of compare the process with the elections in the world, particularly the US elections. Again, today we are going to be talking a little bit, or you're going to be watching the official presidential inauguration of the USA, Excellency Biden and his vice president, who are going to be officially inaugurated this day. And the opening remarks are usually have been scheduled on the time as I posted. So today you're going to watch that ceremony live from the Pan Africa Daily TV. Yes, so our topic for today is a very kind of intellectual, but also a conversation that we all have to look at the differences. We're talking about Africa as a nation, a continent, and kingdoms. A whole continent now with 55 nations and kingdoms, what we call, and plus it's this diaspora. It means we're talking about the 55 countries of Africa, plus the region, which is its diaspora, those in the Caribbean, those in Haiti, those in the Americas, those in Europe, those in the UKs. And this region constitute what we call the sixth region of the African nations under the African Union chapter. So what is going on when we look at the elections? Today, we're still talking about the opposition candidate, Bobi Wine, that is currently being on the house arrest. That's what we knew, or that's what we read as from yesterday. Now, what is the situation today? Is he still currently being held? We also saw a lot of posts on this the situation in Uganda, the abuse and I can just not even explain it, up to the killings of babies as reported by sources out there. So we want to find out, are these stories that we're seeing true? If you are a Ugandan or you have more information about the situation in Uganda, please call in and let us understand what is going on out there. Of course, we understood that the internet has been restored, and so live normally should be going on in Uganda, but that is not the case as we see. Now, what has happened in Africa? When we look at it, we are advocating for a one Africa. A one Africa. So if we compare Africa and we compare the United States of America, I mean, these are two most powerful continents, okay? We also understand the United States is, I mean, a continent with how many states? You all know it, do your research. Africa, a continent with how many states? You all know it, do your research. But then look at the election procedure in both continents. Okay, we have to stop talking about a developing continent that is Africa. Africa has been developed ages and decades before. The fact that we don't have good infrastructure, that we don't have health quality services, the fact that we don't have, all the systems, all the skyscrapers or economies and not functional as it should be in the West, doesn't mean that it has to pipe us down to a third world developmental or development or people. No, Africa is equivalent in terms of expertise, in terms of people, in terms of governance and policies, the same. In terms of even, even an urge, in front of other nations. So, but what qualifies us as a third world? As a third world country? Some don't even understand that Africa is a whole continent. It's a country. Yes, but if we look at it critically from the point of view of Africans, us, look at the election process and the elections that have been taking place on the continent. Now we're talking today about Uganda, but we know that Ghana voted. We know that Tanzania voted. We also know that Malawi voted. And now let's first of all leave aside USA. Now, because the inability for Africa to function like one continent. So every pattern is different. So elections happen today in Uganda. We're seeing all this unrest. We're seeing all this inhuman abuse and treatment. Right? It happened also in Ghana. Right? There were also complaints of opposition crying foul play, irregularities in the election procedures and process. But we did not hear the outcry of the opposition candidate being oppressed or being killed or being harassed or being arrested and kept under pressure. Now we go to Tanzania. Tanzania also elected, right? And what was the outcome of these elections in Tanzania? Yes, we also heard an opposition leader that was being or some manipulations in the elections up till the opposition leader had to leave or flee for his life. Okay, but of course we did not hear about media cut down, the internet was shut, or the people didn't have access to voting polls. There were also irregularities as reported, isn't it? Now we come to Uganda, to Malawi. Malawi also voted, right? And I think in all these processes, that's the only candidate that came out like an opposition candidate that is now sitting as president, right? But we did not hear about, yes, all this, or all what we're seeing today in Uganda. Good. Come now to USA. USA also voted. And we also heard about the incumbent president crying for foul game, for rigging the elections and corruption. We also saw even, the protest at the Capitol Hall. So what does this all have in common? But today, we are going to follow up, or we're going to watch the inauguration of the president of the United States of America. And now, despite all that, the outgoing president made an incredible speech. What was the message in that speech? He made a message of reconciliation and put America first. Irrespective of, he did not even mention the candidates coming. He just said a new government is going to take over. Yes, right. Now, when the elections take place out here in the West, despite the corruption or whatever that is always, one thing that we have to be aware is there are no African observers on these elections, isn't it? We don't hear about international news watchers or whoever, or corruption agencies overseeing those elections from the continent of Africa. Why? Why? So that on that case already, you see the imbalance in the news and in the reporting and in the stories, and who has interest where. Where do I place my interest? So I focus on that. But we from the Pan-African Daily TV, the voices of conscious Africans worldwide, we're reporting, telling us stories from an African perspective, and also world stories from an African perspective. Remember, so we also will be talking about those elections out here in the West and irregularities are known. Yeah, but then the intervention of who has to monitor these elections, no one talks about it. Can Africa, is Africa, you not also up to that capacity as a nation, a continent, with everything, with functional systems? We're not living in a situation where we still have the colonial regimes that are controlling us. That is another conversation for another day. But this is a functional continent with more than 1.2 billion people, with presidents that are ruling their people the African way, or politically, socially, and whatever. Yes, we have challenges like any other continent. Who tells you they don't? Give me one continent and let me begin to line up all their challenges, because we don't have media that show us all this. Today, we are going to start looking at this little nitty-gritty, so that when we're talking about reorganizing Africa, we have to understand from what concept, from what point of view, are we still trying to bring a kind of a westernized view to develop the Africa that we want? Or we are saying that we have our own way. We look at our history, we look at our culture, our values, our thinking, and our setups from the origins that we are into now, and we want to develop Africa the African way. the African way, the African methodology, the African strategy, the African reorganizing our political structures. They call it today political structures, but we had a structure of kings and royals. And in this process, you could see when we're having elections, the two systems that are actually not fitting up, and we start talking about a president being in the government for long life, and that we were in a process of kingdoms before. We never talked about that. The kings will rule and rule and rule and pass, but the intentions, how the kings were ruling us, it's not what we see today on the continent with this misleading of the continent, or the underdevelopment, or the bad governance and the rule. So it's something not giving us an indication that we're still completely, our agenda, us Africans, is still westernized in our mindset, in the way we want to see processes on the continent. Now, going back to our topic of today, like I said, Uganda is doing it the Ugandan way, for instance, right? It is now happening in Uganda, and it's just a country on the continent, right? Malawians voted. Irrespective of what happened, we on the continent looked at it and say it is a Malawian problem. And so whatever processes happen there, it is Malawians to do with it. So we only share a kind of solidarity, or we only watch what is going out there. But it seems to not even concern us. What is happening to the Malawians? Have they been killed? No. In Ghana, the procedure might have said different. We don't hear any noise. We don't hear casualties. They're taking the legal procedures. The opposition is suing it for all these files. And so we kind of see a clear cut in how people react and the mindset and the development concept. Now in Tanzania as well, but we other Africans, or Africans in general, look at, oh, this is an election that just happened in Ghana, and this is what happened. And so whatever happens in Ghana was left to the Ghanaians. At the end of the day, we're going to be saying, oh, the president of Ghana did this and so, or the opposition in Ghana. Those are our narratives. Now we come back to the current situation. It is burning so hard in Uganda. That is our politics. That is our people. But you know what? We stand on the urge, Africans worldwide. Oh, no, it was not the NSA protest that happened in Nigeria. And, you know, everybody was just like, oh, it was the Nigerian crisis, or the Southern Cameroon's crisis in Amazonia that is still going on. And everybody, oh, no, it's Cameroon's a problem. Every situation on the continent we have ever looked at is as an individual. 55 countries on the continent, or 54, and it's diaspora as well. But the difference with America is they look at it as a collective. So they had one election and one president and one opposition. So whatever interest is at stake, it is the goal of every American to stand up to say, you know what, we don't appreciate the way things were made, but we're going to stand and fix it. Isn't that the new revolution, or the new mindset that we should be developing on the continent? We're talking about collapsing these borders. We have one continent called Africa. I mean, they shouldn't have even just say a continent. They would have just said these are 55 or 54 countries. And so it's not about Africa. But when we're talking about the historical continent that we had, the Alkebulan, which is our origins, so there were no boundaries. And so we did not hear about 54 countries. We did not hear about 54 systems of politics, of government, of kingdoms, of traditions, even of religion or our beliefs. We didn't hear about when our ancestors and our forefathers were in the Alkebulan. We didn't know anything about this divided and everyone being responsible. Today, we are talking about a situation where one of us is being held captivity. One of us is being held without food. And we look at the processes and we say, now every country is different on the continent. So we are unique. So every African is different. But is that the truth? Africans? No. We don't think so. And that's why we just want to put out a couple of facts sent to me by my correspondent out there on the continent to discuss some key comparisons between Ghana versus Uganda, particularly the elections. And we're going to be looking at these key points And later on, I'm going to open the lines to take your comments and your questions and the way forward. But remember, what we're doing here is not just dialoguing with one another. The difference from our platform, an existing platform, is we don't just look at things and we criticize or we give our opinion or we keep thinking, oh, I think the problem is. Yes, we think the problem is, but what is the solution? What we are doing on the Pan-African Daily TV for conscious Africans is what is the way forward? So when you call in to make a contribution or a suggestion, please minding of the fact that, yes, you're going to be talking about this is where we are today. This is where we were yesterday. This is where we are today. And tomorrow, this is where we're going to be going to. We are past that level of just talking about our issues in a kind of a way that keep justifying the stereotypes, keep justifying the mindset, keep justifying the Western ideologies and theologies or whatever. And we have never come out with like, yes, the elections or the AU is so bad, but this is what we think can be done. We've always been like, no, it is the worst kind of thing that has ever happened to us. There is no other group or nation of people or race of people that no matter what, they don't see their own as a challenge that needs a solution. We've been blacklisted even in our minds to always think that, you know, it is the worst thing. But believe me, we're going to be reporting on world stories from an African perspective, and we're going to see which one is not just the worst. Which continent doesn't have its own challenges? But the problem is, how does the citizens of this continent, how matured and educated and organized are they that they begin to not just only focus on the past? Yes, they do look at the past. They have their history, Germany and its Holocaust and all what, and the partition. They do have it. But do you think the youths of today in Germany sit on a table and all they would do is talk about what Hitler and his organization or people did to all nations? Do you think even the German youths even know about the 1884 Berlin Conference? Of course, it is their story that was created. But do you think the youths of today keep looking and saying, oh, you know why? Yes, today we are succeeding because of that. Of course, they don't have the challenge you and me have. Yeah, but we are saying, let's talk about the past, the present, and the future. And the future should be, what is the solution? Yes, I would pick up your calls. Please just be patient while I finish with my presentation and give us the way forward. Thank you so very much for joining in and for watching from all the platforms. I want to appreciate you. Yes. So the key points that we want to look, just a small comparison, are the electoral systems, the campaigns, the opinion polls, and the preliminary result. Now, concerning the campaigns, all contesting political parties, especially the NPP and the NDC, campaign vigorously. That is what we know about Ghana. And while in Uganda, the government suspended all campaigning for January's presidential poll in the capital and 10 populous districts Saturday, as citing the coronavirus risk, but critics said that the real reason was the opposition's popularity in these regions. Now, in Ghana, the opposition party were allowed to carry out their campaigns with limited restrictions, while in Uganda, government used military to block opposition from campaigning. Electoral system, evidence of electoral fraud in both countries, though Ghana experienced few cases of electoral fraud as compared to Uganda, where the electoral body is accused of manipulating vote counts. All right, we came back now to the voting process in both. Ghana employs a series of processes in ensuring transparency, fairness, and credibility of the polls. The main elements include use of a ballot paper, biometric verification processes, a secret ballot, and transparent ballot boxes. The ballot papers are foldable sheets of paper bearing details on each candidate. It has 3 slots per candidate, the photo, the party symbol, and a space for the thumbprint mark. Ballot papers are the basic voting materials. We're talking about Ghana. Now in Uganda, internet blockout interfered with biometric verification processes, evidence of vote manipulations. And so we see these three processes do not correspond, isn't it? Now we don't want to say, yes, this one was the fair one, or no, that one. We're just talking it from a general perspective and putting up the facts that we have on the ground, isn't it? Now, but the difference, what we're saying is now it is a Ghanaian issue. It is a Ugandan issue. And so no continent or no countries, even the leaders, want to intervene. I think, and we thinking, and African voices have been texting and saying, this is wrong. The one Africa that we're advocating is just like the United States of America. So we need a united nation and kingdoms of Africa. And so with one president and leadership, and that's why the conversation yesterday was very hot and critical for the AU position, the AU chairman commission position at the main house, the one union that we all have on representing the 55 nations and its leaders. And so, as a matter of fact, we can see this union, the African Union, as the united union body. And of course, that was the objective on which it was created in 1999, the Organization of African Union, isn't it? So the African Union considers itself like the main leading body of the 55 nations and kingdoms of Africa. Now, and then the chairman, should we consider him now as the main person standing in that position unopposed when we have 5 regions, 55 or 54 head of state, and we see unopposed candidate. So if we look at it, not just from only the 55 country processes, now we're looking at one. So we, yes, are united under this organization. So, but what is the way forward in this elections procedures? We haven't heard even an official statement from this chairperson, who is the leading of, or the leading president over all presidents, as we heard yesterday, and has the mandatory to operate and to do operations in the name or on the behalf of the 55 nations and kingdoms. Yes. Okay, but elections are coming up on the 7th of January or February, and you are standing as the unopposed candidate. How fair is that? So let us talk, let us converse, but please be aware we're talking about solutions on the current situation. How do you want to see the Africa that we're all advocating for? One country, one continent, call it whatever, one nation and kingdoms with 55 different head of states or regions. Yeah. But then if an election is taking place, shouldn't it be the concern and even the inhuman treatment or the procedures that are corrupt or are literally not just legally, not just correct in our eyes or in the eyes of Africans? How should it be? How should we function? What is the solution? What is the way forward? Be aware of the fact that the current situation in Uganda doesn't look that appealing like in the other countries where, you know, despite the critique, but life has become normal in Tanzania, apart from the pandemic. In Malawi as well, the president-elect is going on, the official president doing business as usual. Of course, we also know Ghana, despite the fact that they're going through these irregularities, but the country is booming and they're keeping their rules and they're functioning business as usual. But in Uganda, no. Is it the situation out there? We want to hear your comments and what we think. Tomorrow, we're going to stay on this topic, but it's going to be about the systems and the leadership and who is our greatest enemy. Yes. So I'm opening up the lines, ladies and gentlemen. Call in, making your call, make your contribution to this conversation of today. What should we do? What do we want to see in the Africa that works for Africans? We're talking today about the elections in the different countries, the irregularities, but the way the continents put their people and their country first. In Africa, that is not the case. And I'll also invite you to join the inaugural official ceremony of the president and vice president of America. This event is going to be taking place, and we're going to stream it also live to cover that event out there. Yes, that is world news from an African perspective. And we're going to open up tomorrow or in the next sessions to take candidates from out there or guest speakers to tell us about the current situation going on there. So are you ready? So let us ready and let us go. And what is your contribution for today? What is your take on the situation on the continent and its diaspora? How should we function? What are we ready to contribute as citizens, and be you a diaspora, as Africans worldwide, to bring in relevant solutions to our continent? The lines are open. Please call only WhatsApp +49 1578 211 2379. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, go ahead. What is your contribution? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from South Africa.
Okay, go ahead.
I so wish that Africa could focus to. Oh, firstly, you are speaking with the Sianda Twetwa.
Okay.
I so wish that Africa could focus to African issues. Maybe many things like poverty and poverty, street kids. Maybe those things may be solved, because currently it seems like we are currently not having leaders like the way it is, because our leaders, they focus to Europe and America and forget about the Africans.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes. So how should they do it? For instance, put their attention on our political issues or education or our culture and developing their people. Do you think they don't do it enough?
The educational system is the problem in Africa.
Okay.
It is more theoretical than being more practical. That is the problem. That is why it seems like we are always behind the other continents instead of producing our own things. Like, for instance, we buy things all in machines, everything in China, America, and Europe. So I think while we have many engineers in Africa, that is an example.
Okay.
We expect students to go and finish their doctorate.
All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you so very much for your contribution. Yes, you are watching the Pan-African Daily TV. We want to hear your contribution and a solution, and particularly also to the situation in Uganda. What is news out there? Please tell us. We've been receiving a couple of very disturbing videos out there. Is the situation still the way it is? We want facts, please. Hello?
Hello?
Yes. Good afternoon, sir. Yeah.
My name is Yao, calling from Ghana.
From Ghana. Yes, Yao, go on. How are you doing today?
I'm doing quite well, pretty well. I think the issue has to do with, one, our leaders, and also lack of social amenities, and the key point is education. In Ghana, we have realized that the coup d'etat is not what we want. It's not helping us as a country. And again, the citizenry has been conscientized that anybody, any leader who go foul against our constitution, the citizenry will get upon you. So with just that alone, you, the leader, you don't get up and speak loosely and do things against the constitution. Immediately you do that, the citizenry get up one united front and condemn any statement you have made. I am very sorry with what is going on in Uganda. I've been following this development over there, and I see that Museveni, the man is not behaving well. And I believe that what is AU doing? Don't AU have a right in within our electoral systems across the West Africa? Why do they put up what do you call it? People to go and monitor elections in other African countries?
Correct.
What does it come for? So when something like this is going on, they cannot get up and stand up and say, look, this is not part of your constitution. And you don't stand against the human rights of other people within that country. And I think that alone, our structure and our AU has let us down. If something, we have given them the power. If you go there to sit there, they think about Africa. If they are thinking about Africa, they should know that Africa will have embraced multi-party democracy. If we have embraced multi-party democracy, what are the measures that they are putting in place?
Okay.
That Africa will end up to benefit from, because you say that you are developing a trans-African railway line. You are developing it so that we can easy goods and services across each African country, so African borders, as you say. If one country is having problem, how can we even trade with them?
Correct.
So the key fundamental thing is AU need to stamp its authority on what is going on in Uganda. And I feel that it's a shame to us, and we need to be able to stand against whatever Museveni is doing over there and speak power to authority.
Absolute. Thank you very much. Yes.
I bet you, no leader in this country, NPP, NDC, CPP, can do this in this country. Immediately you say it, the media will get up at you, the whole country will get up at you.
All right, but you see, this is what we're talking about, the Uganda versus Ghana. And I like this conversation and what you're telling us about the system that has been going there. Yes, we're still going to get very top experts to tell us about this really procedures. But now, can you imagine a situation where you just have the key to just turn up and shut up the internet from every other? So what is that kind of a power? Is it a multi-party system?
No, this is not a multi-power system. This is totally authoritative rule.
Thank you very much.
It's just as if they are being run by a military government. And again, they fall under AU, African Union. What is the role of African Union in this area? Is African Union there to go and solve war or to go and broke peace? In other countries, they need to take out their authority.
Absolute. Thank you very much.
And bet me, all the leaders that form out the AU are again the presidents of the various African countries. So when their colleague is misbehaving, they cannot tell them.
Correct.
And I believe that I thank you for this platform. It's very good for African unity and African solidarity. And we're also going to push forward that those solidarity that is going on in Uganda should be stopped.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Thank you for your call. Yes, enough is enough on this kind of role. I mean, I don't even know how to call it. It is our time. Africans, you rise up and we put a stop and a way forward to how we organize our own continent. What is your take on it? Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, you're live.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Everyone is hearing you. Go ahead, brother.
Okay. This is Yemi. I'm calling all the way from Germany.
Thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yeah. I really enjoy your program always. When I have time, I tune to it, and it's really a very wonderful initiative because we Africans, we have to really rise to the occasion and know that democracy means one vote for one person. And it means that the constituted authority must also themselves respect the Constitution. Because if they don't respect the Constitution, then they begin to use the fact that they are in power to off the internet, to off communication, to keep the people in darkness, to prevent the opposition from conducting rallies. Because of coronavirus, for example, we saw that in Uganda. And by the way, why why shouldn't we have some kind of a constitution that says age limit? For God's sake, Africa is a continent of young people. Why not have age limit for those who are going to rule that country, that continent?
Okay.
In each of the countries.
All right.
So that people who are sleeping like President Yoweri Museveni, with all due respect, will not be the one to head the country. Where is he leading the country to?
Right. Thank you very much. We're going to be picking the other course. Thank you so much for your contribution. Yes, I'm grateful also. Yes. What is going on in Uganda and what should we do? We know that the situation in Uganda is not getting any more better, or yes, we want to get your impression about it. What should the AU and the leaders on the continent be doing to intervene in terms of crisis like this? We should not be mute, isn't it? What's your contribution? Hello?
Hello, madam.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Yes.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Fine, thank you. You calling from?
I'm calling from Zambia.
Go ahead. What's your contribution today? I mean, you see the elections in Uganda and all the other countries, and even in the US, and all this, you know, I don't want to call it confusion. What is the difference and what is the way forward? What should we do now?
Thank you so much, madam. Firstly, allow me to say all African leaders in Africa, they don't respect democracy. I've not seen any country in Africa, because if African leaders, they respect democracy and they respect the rule of law, they are condemn what is happening in Uganda.
Absolutely.
Because you can, but what is happening in Uganda, this is total shame. It shows to say there is a rotten system of leadership there in Uganda.
Mm-hmm.
People don't respect the will of the people. We have seen the videos which have been showing the rigging of election. How are we going to believe to say General Museveni has won the election with the votes coming from the people?
Mm-hmm.
Away from that, African leaders were supposed to stand up and condemn what is happening in Uganda.
Mm-hmm.
But there is no African leaders in the 54 countries of Africa who has even stood condemning what is happening in Uganda. That simply shows to say all African leaders are the same. They should have risen against this. Coming to the AU. AU is one of the most rotten, corrupt institutions that we have in Africa. It should side with the people, but all of a sudden AU is actually toothless. It's the worst institution that we have in Africa.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yes, even though we are saying that the elections were not condemned or were not no word, but we also saw a tweet from the president, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, who made a tweet and said the elections were fair, and they congratulate the president-elect, His Excellency Yoweri Museveni. We saw that even though Facebook rated it as, you know, not fact, that not true. So they actually talk it, but in whose interest and whose favor? Hello?
Hello? Yeah, hello. My name is Justice.
Yes, Justice. Welcome to the show. Where are you calling from? And what's your contribution?
Yeah, please, I'm calling from South Africa. And I'm listening to your show lastly on the Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm following the edition opened there by the Uganda.
What is your contribution?
Yeah, my contribution for this Uganda election, I think the president, the long-term president must understand on this African continent to step down, then give the seat to the young ones and for them to achieve their aims. Because we can't see any better things coming from the African leaders. We've been pushing since from ages. And still, the problem is still the same, because the leaders have power than the citizens. By the citizens who voted the leaders to become leaders, but they don't listen to us. To shut down the internet at Uganda is very radical action, because you are doing election. Even I'm from Ghana, and Ghana to we did the election, even upon all the, as I don't understand the results and I get the results, still there was understanding for the both parties to put things in another way. But how some of the leaders are behaving, I think we still need to reform a new African Union. This African Union is like a brotherhood.
Okay.
They know each other and they cannot talk against each other, and still the problem still remains. Because now Africa, we are in a big trouble now. If you look at the COVID, we don't know where we are going. And we don't know where we are coming. We are now stuck. Even some are talking about the vaccine. We don't even know what is going on in the world. So if our leaders are still going to behave like our previous leaders who were slaving us from the slaving time, then it's like we are still in the dark. So the African leaders must wake up now and stand for the Uganda nation. Because Uganda has been suffering for ages. We all know Uganda situation, and it's not only Uganda. There's a lot of African countries facing these wars. If you look at Southern Sudan, all these countries, Congo, they are all in a hot dig. No one is saying anything about them. They've been fighting from ages to ages. Nobody is talking about them. But we still have the African Union here. So we don't know the work. We don't know the work actually for the African Union. No, we don't know, and we don't know what they are doing to help us, the child of South African or the black child of South African. We don't know, because people want to come home, but they are still afraid. There is a lot of Ugandans who want to come home. They can't even have access to their family, and so imagine this COVID time, you can't even hear from your mother. It's very, very bad.
Okay.
So please, we want the leaders to stand and form the South African Union as the way Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and previous Mugabe, those people started. We want them to do the same thing and talk.
Okay. Thank you very much for your contribution. Yes. That is the cry of the African child. That is the cry of the African voices worldwide, be it in the United States, be it in the Caribbean, be it in Europe, be it in on the continent itself. Africans are wailing. And it is time that we're saying that. Why? We have no idea what is happening in our systems. We're talking about COVID. Nobody understands what is going to happen. While the world and the West is looking for solutions, African is just not proposing something. Madagascar came up with a solution. We don't know what is going on with COVID organic. No one has any idea what is actually going on. When are we going to stop? When are our young people going to stop dying in the oceans, crossing to looking for greener pastures elsewhere? When is time for our diaspora to feel comfortable to come home and contribute? What is the situation on there? We're calling on our leaders. We're calling on the African Union. Say something. Say something. Maybe us too as citizens and Africans. Another way, it should not just be, oh, they have to step down. Probably they should also nurture the present leaders. What about nurturing the youth to give them power? Not they wait until the youth will have to fight to take power. No, the youth nurturing your youth, preparing them for a new leadership. What about that? Must they wait until the youth will have to fight to take power? What about that? Don't we have a future of a continuity that we should be preparing and handing over? If it is time to hand over, what is our take on that? Hello? Yes.
I'm Hassan Kamoga. I'm actually calling in from Taiwan, but I'm Ugandan.
Okay.
And I think actually the problem with Uganda, you're saying we have a lot of problems right now in Uganda. The problem with Uganda is actually, if you hear from people voted and they didn't read out the right results. That's a problem. And how that can be overcome, I don't think it can be overcome with military way, because right now we have a military government, and everyone assumes we have a people's government. So the best way we can deal with that is maybe we can have some people or some countries like AU coming in to try to talk with the opposition to try to get a level ground about that. Then the other issue, you are saying that Africans, we have problems and they're not actually trying to solve them. I think our biggest problem has been that
on Facebook,
we always believe in the problem of trying to solve problems using force or war, and you realize that most countries do invest in military might. And that is going to cause us a lot of problems at the end of the day, because we are not investing in the human resource.
Correct.
In research, which can avail a lot of opportunities in terms of jobs and creating industries which can boost the people's economies. Because the problem with Africa is actually just money and trying to earn a living out of what we can do. And we have all the resources. Talk about nature, talk about minerals, talk about land which is able to produce the best of anything we can want. But then all that is not being put to use because the investments are going into buying military attire and military wear from Russia, from China, actually Uganda is the first country to buy certain vehicles from Turkey, for military, you can imagine. We haven't bought vaccines for COVID, and we are claiming that is stopping people from meeting up and moving freely. So definitely we still have a lot we can do, but the best way we can do that, I think, is going through making right investments in terms of research and stop trying to enrich the knowledge we lack.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your contribution. Yes. We are still talking about the situation on the ground in Uganda. What is it that African Union and leaders on the continent should do to intervene in that situation and bring peace back to the people of Uganda? It is the basic right of every other nation. We know about even the conflicts in the Central African Republic. We also know even the long-lasting and the biggest problem on the continent in terms of conflict is the Democratic Republic of Congo, a conflict that nobody's been talking about it. And a lot of critics are saying, or Africans are saying, the day Congo will be free, even from its neighboring countries that keep killing the Congolese for their minerals, then Africa would start talking. What is your take about this situation? How can we go for it? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Susan. I'm calling from Sweden, Cameroonian who is based in Sweden.
Okay.
Yes, I really want to come in this situation of Uganda. You see, the electoral system in Africa, it's like all of them almost have one and the same thing. So if we want to correct this situation of election problem in Africa, is to first of all set our military. Our military need to be emancipated from mental slavery. Because you realized what is happening is the all people who are in power, they invest more in military. And now these military are always there to defend them. But I want to ask, it baffles me in the sense that you are a military person who is at the age of 20, 25. You are there, you decide to put your life at line, to surrender, to give your life for the exchange for a life of somebody of 8 years. Because on average, we now look at Africa, our leaders keep telling us that youth are the leaders of tomorrow. But it's rather unfortunate that in Africa, the definition of the youth begins at the age of 70. So if you want to look at all the government, because if in a research, the case in Uganda is something that the president and the government in power is been backed militarily. So if the military was not suffering from mental slavery, then I don't know whether they will be backing people who are of really dying age against a young person.
Okay.
Now, if we want, yes, if we want to come to, you talk about building an Africa, a better Africa for tomorrow, we must first of all, us as African, start saying negative things against Africans, because you want to see in most of the Western society, they hide their evil and present only what is good.
Correct.
Us Africans, yes, we always like to portray our bad attitude outside more than the good things. But to build Africa, we need to stand all as one and then make it, Africa becomes a better place. It's a great continent, for real.
Thank you.
The problem is only about governance. Yeah.
Thank you so much, my brother. Thank you for calling in. Thank you for your contribution. Yes, now we are moving steps further. Education is one of the biggest weapon for development in every economy. What you see is what you hear, and what you speak is what you were taught. But what is it that was taught to you, and who taught you that? On whose curriculum are we operating in our education system? The brother just talked about mental slavery, mental colonization, mental brain. And we all know that the system of education on the continent, whose history are they telling us? Whose religion is they teaching us? Whose food and culture and way of life and way to believe and standards of living are they telling us? And who are they even telling them to? So education is one of the key sectors that we want Africa to emancipate in that. But the issue is which education, which curriculum? Hello?
Hello.
Yes. Good afternoon. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. And then before I start everything, I just want to appreciate and say you are Nairo as a woman who have just stood up and then come up with such good topics that maybe tomorrow or in the future can help Africa. Yeah, I'm a Congolese for the fact, let me start first with the Uganda situation.
Mm-hmm.
It will be very difficult for the Ugandan to go out of that situation,
Mm-hmm.
as long as Museveni still hold all the government assets. Museveni is in army, Museveni is in everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what the African leaders have tried to do. It's like once they are in power, they will try all their best to invest in everything and to take, to make sure every leader or anyone in the government should collaborate with them.
Mm-hmm.
And these African leaders, they have made a molecule whereby they have made something very strong that no one should invite them. If you are seeing in Central Africa, it's most all presidents are doing the same thing. Once they're in the power and this president to support the other one, you have seen even once they release the result about Museveni, there was this other president from Tanzania supporting the other president.
Kenya.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
always so it's always like that. They do support each other. They know what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things which I can say is the problem with Africa is just because 90%, or I should say, out of 10 leaders in Africa are not the president or leaders that the people have chosen. So it will be very difficult to develop Africa.
Absolutely.
Because they are leaders. Yeah, because they are leaders that are not coming from the choice of the people of Africa.
All right. Okay. Thank you. We're going to take another call. Thank you for that call. Hello?
Hello, Comrade.
Yes. Good afternoon, comrade.
Good afternoon. The Queen of Africa. Queen of Africa. You are still in labor.
Thank you. Thank you for your call. Comrade, what is going on when you look at the situation on the ground? Which way do you think we should focus? What are you young people thinking about that continent that is yours?
Just a lot of things. Number one, Though I don't know you are asking in which context, but let me take a case study of our Uganda here.
Yes.
Right now, Bobby Wine, there is no doubt that he was voted overwhelmingly with the majority of Ugandans. But now, looking at it, he is caged. He's caged in his home. He's prison. He's under prison, typically, in short.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the populace, the population can do nothing because the battle, the bullet is on everybody's head.
Yes.
So nobody can uprise, nobody can riot, nobody can talk. Now, the reason as to why I think this is happening, when people are hungry, when a majority of a population is hungry, and everybody is looking up to the next meal, how to survive, looking for the next meal, it is difficult to even uprise against the dictator.
Mm-hmm.
So my thinking, well, as we are fighting for for political freedom, it's of great importance that we focus much on prospects of economic development of the people themselves. I know it might take a little while, but when people are economically empowered, then we can easily boycott a lot of things. We can hold night vigils, to make things correct. I'm just disappointed of everything, the way things are happening.
I know. I understand. But you are currently the chairperson of the Center for African Volunteers, and you're working a lot in Kenya there with a lot of young people, and you see the situation on the ground, that the man that cannot even feed himself cannot have a voice, isn't it?
Exactly. A person who can, exactly. A person who cannot feed himself, cannot have a voice, cannot express themselves, cannot have the courage even to face even a police dog,
Absolute.
He cannot confront anything,
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, comrade, for your contribution. We look forward, but we are not stopping at anything. It's our continent, and change must come. We have to develop it. No one would do it for us. We all know that, isn't it? Thank you so much. Hello. 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 Welcome to the show.
Yes.
Okay.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, you're live. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Joe calling you from Gambia.
Okay. How are you doing in Gambia today?
Actually, I want to confirm with the ones who have heard it.
Yes.
Zambia was doing fine. I don't know you there.
It's okay, but Uganda and all the other countries that people are suffering in war, in prisons and stuff, they're not doing fine. So we know I am because you are is our philosophy. So if one is sick, we are all sick. Africa is sick. What is the solution?
Yeah,
what is the way forward?
Actually, we have really the problem with our African leaders. I don't know what is into them. It's more like we have African disease with our leaders. Because believe you me, like the situation in Uganda, it's very, very tense. We don't like it the way it is. We need the young people to rule this continent because they have fresh ideas. I believe that.
Okay.
Because I believe when people voted us into power, it doesn't mean that that post or that position is for permanence. No, you need to have a privilege. People have chosen you.
They have entrusted you to rule them. But again, the opposite of that is it happens in the sense that instead of rule or to be there for them, since they trusted us, we do the opposite, which is a problem for the entire generation.
Okay. Thank you for your contribution. I think this is the way forward. Whether we like it or not, we would have to go through a system of, looking into what works for us, not what the other countries are doing or the West is doing, and we think that we're going to implement it in our country. That's not going to work. So I thank you so much for your contribution, and we keep it going. Yes, we are building the Africa that we want. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. I'm calling from Italy, and my contribution is that this scenario going on, it's not only in Uganda, it is all parts of Africa. All our leaders are the same. Whenever they come to power, they find it difficult to leave.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing they do is they first of all occupy the military. Even within the military, they eliminate all opposition, relegate them, and only bring their own carcass up to support them, even in their evil ways. So that is why we find out that the military always support them in their evil works.
Correct.
That is the first problem. Then Africa generally, we have learned, the youth are learned, they are super intelligent. In Europe, in America, they have proved themselves they are very intelligent. But the problem is we've not been able to use those talents, those knowledge acquired from the Western world in our land. Why? Because of the leaders. And that is another problem. So we think that there should be a review of constitution, that will say they should not be able to come to power, or they should only come to power just twice. The third time, no. I think that one can serve, and it should not be renewed. And secondly, military people at the age of 60 should go on pension, compulsory. In Europe, you find them at the age of 55 on pension. So that one will eliminate the old cargoes in the military supporting the old politicians. To approve their evil thing.
Okay. Thank you.
To do it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for your contribution. Yes, we will get there. Yes, the continent belongs to us, and we will solve these issues. Today, we are talking about, the election processes on the continent and the difference in these programs. We see countries that have clear agendas on their elections and how they manage it. We're talking about the difference in the Ugandan election and the Ghana elections, and we see the different reactions. And the caller from Ghana made a very clear statement on how things are being done in Ghana and the way the procedures are going on. The first thing is the information of the citizen. The citizens understand the procedure and they stand up to it. And so if anything would have happened, dare to happen like this in Ghana, it would not have been this case. So we are trying to call on the citizens also of our individual nations and kingdoms of Africa to be aware of the Constitution. What is your Constitution saying about the elections and the legislation? What is the parliament saying about it? But we all know that if a dictator, as we call, or one that has the control of the elections, has the control of the military, can do anything. Even if the citizens would understand that procedure, they are standing at a gunpoint on a military role and cannot exercise themselves. What is our take on it? Even though we understand the process, what is it that Ghana does differently, and that maybe we should look into that option to, to pave the way forward for countries like Uganda and the other countries? Hello?
Hello, madam.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I've called again. I called from Zambia. You cut me.
I'm very sorry. I'm sure the other caller cut you because he was calling direct. So finish your point. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, my point, madam, is firstly, let me talk about the election in Uganda.
Okay.
Ugandan election hasn't been free and fair. We are looking at uniting Africa at the moment. We as Zambians, youths, when we see our brothers and sisters in Uganda who are being brutalized, arrested, who are being murdered because of their will, our leaders in Africa, they are not training the future leaders. We, the youths of Africa, are not being educated very well. This brutality regimes that we have seen in Africa is not being fair to us, the youths. There is no good seed that they are planting in us, which will germinate in the future to make a good Africa, as we are planning to have one Africa, as we are planning to have one military, as we are planning to have one currency. With these kind of self-centered leaders who are got the mentality of when they get into power, they change all of a sudden. Why? Because they start controlling the military. They start controlling all those big institutions. They control the judicial. They start controlling the education system. They paralyze all the systems in the country. At the end of the day, the people are not respected.
Correct.
The people's will is not respected. Why? Because now they are in the power, they are in the comfort zone, they feel everything is okay for them. Not forgetting to say the seed that they are planting is not a very good seed. Away from that, coming up with the AU issue, I'm really surprised to see the AU, which is supposed to stand for all African countries, which is supposed to bring peace in African countries.
Absolutely.
They are supposed to stand for peace. They are supposed to stand for the people of Africa at large. When they see there is a problem in Africa, as it is in Uganda, this is the time that we wanted them to speak loud. This is the time we want to see leaders who are going to side with the will of.
All right. Okay.
But all of a sudden.
Yeah, just conclude because there are a lot of people calling. Just conclude your point.
Yes. My point is, we need to see leaders who are going to respect the will of the people.
Thank you.
Us to attend the African unity.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for calling. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, welcome to the show. Yes, hello.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy I'm able to get through. I'm bubbling like I could explode.
Why are you bubbling? Why are you? Yes, of course, there's a reason.
Because, well, let me stop bubbling and just give some points here.
All right, where are you calling from? Who are you?
I'm calling from Germany, Munich.
Okay.
I'm based in Munich. Yes. I've not followed the show for a while. I followed it up for a few minutes, but I think, given everything that has been going on, I think I have something to say here. We need, on our continent, we need to start from the very, very basics. Our people need political education from the grassroots. From the grassroots. The reason being that we do not know that the so-called leaders who have turned into rulers, they are supposed to be our servants. They are supposed to work for the nation. That is what patriotism is. You're supposed to work for your country and not the people suffering because of you. And that is what is happening on our continent. Many leaders have turned into rulers. That is what is destroying us. They seize our institutions, they manage them like private property, they seize our militaries, they manage them like private property. We need to know that we put them there, so they need to work according to our norms. They need to work for us. They are leaders and not rulers. And that is why I am bubbling. They are servants and not bosses. So we need political education from the grassroots to let our people know that I have rights. I put this guy up there where he is, and I put him there because I expect him to work for the nation. I expect him to work for the people and not for himself. So what I am saying is that we have been singing the song for years, for decades, for centuries. But until our people, right from the grandma in the village, from the suburbs, until they know that they have rights, until they know that they have a say in the society, until they know that that guy sitting on that chair up there has been placed there by her or by him, and that she has a voice and he has a voice, we will not get anywhere. That is where we have to start from. Grassroots mobilization, political education, tell our people that as much as you have the responsibility to pay taxes, you also have a voice to determine what is done with those taxes. The military is paid by your taxes, so you have the right to tell the military what needs to be done. It has to be a collective. But because we have left the so-called leaders turned rulers to determine everything that happens to us, we start thinking they've brainwashed us to think that we do not have a voice. And that is why I am bubbling. I'm so happy that I had a chance to see this.
Thank you very much. Thank you so very much. Your contribution is exactly the solutions that we're talking about. Political education and mobilization is what we need on the continent. Thank you, ma'am. The voice of the warrior and the voice of the queens of Africans are saying, like mothers, we need to educate ourselves from the grassroots to the top to understand that a leader should be leading and should be serving and not a ruler. Wow. I mean, I didn't even really go to think about this. Thank you so very much for calling. This is one of the perspectives that we're talking about, the Pan-African Daily TV Media. Who is a leader and who is a ruler? Homework for us Africans worldwide. Hello? Yes. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you. My name is J.W. Cisse and I join you from Morocco.
From Morocco, okay. Thank you for connecting and watching. What is your contribution? What should we do?
My concern have to do with the AU. I think the AU should be an independent body. It shouldn't be the same people that we cry from leading the AU, because you come to realize that the AU is not functioning. I think they are only there to collect dues. What can we do? I think I'll have to go to the US as ambassador. I'll have to do this. I'll have to be this. I'll have to be that. But if you look at one of the people of the AU, you come to realize that they talk about peace, to coordinate peace among African states. What is happening now in Uganda? What have the AU done towards that case? I think I mailed their office yesterday concerning the case of Bobby Wine. As a young African, when we gather the money and see these things, we bleed. Because these guys will continue to destroy people.
Yes.
They are almost at the point of death. They are in their grave. So it is very sad for us. The AU should be an independent body. Where today, if we look at Liberia is going out of track, or Ghana is going out of track, we say, okay, we're going to move on. And if they cannot respond, we will move on then. But I cannot move to Uganda because the president of Uganda is a comrade of Cyril Ramaphosa. So he can move on his comrade. So you come to realize that people were going to ping and there will be no response. So it's very painful for Africans. I think the AU should be an independent body. Thank you all so much, and I appreciate it a lot.
Thank you so much for your calling. I appreciate you. We are on the Pan-African Daily TV, and all your contributions and the voices are very relevant. Call in and make your call. We have just 7 minutes to go into this show. As you know, we're ending at 4:30 p.m. Europe time, and we would be asking you to join us live again. No commentary, no host, but just to follow the ceremony of the inauguration ceremony of the U.S. president and vice president that would be taking place in a couple of minutes, or no, not minutes, 1 hour from our time here in Europe. So we all call upon you to follow that very historic inauguration, going out there peaceful, and Americans are collectively uniting, even though they disagreed during the elections, but they are putting America first. When would Africans unite on a common agenda and put Africa first? I'm talking about the leadership, the people. We common village road people have a common agenda, love our continent, and the voices are saying, the diaspora is even saying, open up the boundaries. We have a lot to bring back to our people. But the leadership, even looking at the conflict that is currently going on the African countries, and they just like speechless. What is going on? What can we do? You have a right as an African to rise up to reorganize, to bring solutions on the way forward. Yes, it is still our Africa, and it belongs to us. Hello?
Yes, hello.
Yes.
Yes, I'm calling from Switzerland.
Thank you for calling, ma'am. What is your contribution?
Yes, I just want to thank you. I'm Ugandan. I want to thank you for keeping Uganda in the limelight.
It is our duty for Africa, my queen. Go ahead.
And I want to thank the whole media for keeping Bobi Wine alive. Because if it were not for Bobi Wine, for the media, Bobi Wine would be dead. Now, the situation in Uganda is dire. It needs urgent attention. It really needs the whole world to come and help us. Now, we would rather normally ask the AU to help us. But as you all have said, AU is useless to Africa, to the African continent. The AU has not opened up its mouth to say anything. There are so many atrocities being committed on Ugandan people. Bobi Wine is under lock. The whole country is under lock. So many people are dying. We in the diaspora are doing the best, but there's not much we can do. So I'm asking you, through this voice, I want to thank you so much, but through this voice, to send to the AU, to send to the incoming American administration, to immediately stop the atrocities happening in Uganda. People are dying. Bobi Wine is going to be killed in time. Do we want to wait until he's dead and then you can help us? I'm requesting you through this beautiful channel that you started, help Uganda. Help us, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Ugandans are crying, Africans are crying. What should we do? Should we sit and watch, and after the murders and the deaths, and we wait up to 1 million dead before we intervene? What a world, what a nation. Why Africa? Why Africa? Why now? Why? Hello?
Hello, this is Joy calling from Uganda.
Thank you, Joy.
Yeah, I would like to talk about the African elections, especially Uganda at the moment.
Yes.
First of all, the elections weren't fair at all, beginning from the campaign trail for the president.
Yes, go ahead.
Hello. Yeah, so this wasn't a surprise to the country as Uganda, because we expected the
Bakama, who is the chairman for Electoral Commission, to announce whatever he announced. So that wasn't our surprise. My point is, instead of organizing elections, of which leaders are not willing to hand over power after what has come after the elections, I think they should stop this exercise of elections in Africa.
Absolutely.
Because we are losing a lot of people. Children are becoming orphans. Women are becoming widows. Fathers are turning to be homeless just in the name of election. It's losing meaning, totally losing meaning. And I don't understand the meaning of democracy that African countries are talking about. Democracy is the voice of the people. If you discover that people have decided, then why do you call yourself a democratic state? Why do you call yourself a democratic continent?
Correct. It is not. Okay. Yes, it is not.
The other thing, you find that people who are totally innocent, for example, here in Uganda, the incident occurred when a baby, around 3 months baby, lost the life just in the name of elections. Had it not been, you understand?
Okay. Thank you, Mom. I think your line is breaking. And yes, we are rounding up this edition for today. And we ask you to join us again tomorrow on same time, on the same platform, as we continue the situation on the continent and the way forward. Tomorrow, we're going to have a very important guest, Dr. Oba Shabazz, an American descendant of African descent, American-born of African descent, is going to lecture us and is going to give us a way forward on the leadership and what is it that we Africans should focus on now to save more lives, to save our continent, and to save ourselves, yes, from our current situation. And remember, as we keep saying, nobody is going to solve our problems but us Africans. So I want to thank all of you that joined in this conversation today, and I ask you to tune in to watch the inauguration of the U.S. president taking place in a couple of hours from now. Please stay tuned always on the Pan-African Daily TV as we build the Africa that we want together, an African that works for Africans worldwide. Yes, if you missed this show because of the timing, make sure you watch it on our YouTube channel, and the videos that we've just produced are currently on our Facebook and our other platforms. So please make sure you watch to learn the conversations and to hear and to contribute your voice. I want to also thank all of you that keep dropping your messages into our WhatsApp groups. Thank you so much for your contribution, for sharing your perspective on the way forward. We appreciate you. Be aware of the fact that we get all your messages. We respond to them when we can. We read them and keep your contribution going around. All of you that have called in, I want to thank you so very much. That is the Africa that we want, an Africa that all of us give the way forward, an African that develops an agenda that is just not been sat by 55 people on a table and define the way the government or the governance on the continent should work. Just like in the past, when they sat in the conference in Berlin, 1884, and decided the way forward for Africa. That is way decades. We should walk away from those systems and now come to a table where we take into consideration what is the need. Of course, we're not going to take every voice, but every voice matters on the Pan-African Daily TV. Thank you once more. We are going to see us same time tomorrow. Stay safe, stay healthy, and please have faith in Africa. We will make it. Promised, delivered. Bye. Stay safe.